Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. And this one's brought to you by Pankaj Shrestha's production. Yeah, and we're both so happy to be working with him.
Absolutely.
Pankaj is really dedicated to sharing insightful knowledge and empowering others, through really thoughtful content creation.
Yeah, he's just amazing.
Yeah, and we're thrilled to be a part of his team. So today we're tackling a book that many of you, and in fact you specifically shared this with us,
Right.
consider a cornerstone of success, and that's Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
The original 1937 unedited edition.
A classic.
A classic. And our mission today is to navigate this wealth of information, right? I mean, this book is packed.
It is.
And we want to extract the most significant principles for achieving financial independence and personal success.
That's right.
Without getting lost in the weeds, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get bogged down.
Keep it practical.
Keep it practical.
Mhm.
This book, it's incredible. It draws on over 25 years of research
Wow.
and interviews with over 500 successful men.
Think about that. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a monumental piece of work.
It is. It is.
And it all started with Andrew Carnegie, right?
Mm.
He challenged Napoleon Hill to decodify a universal magic formula for success.
Right.
And the book promises to reveal this secret, which has been, tested by thousands of individuals across so many different fields.
Absolutely. So let's dive right into what many consider the foundational principle, and that is the power of desire.
Right.
Hill famously says that thoughts are things,
Mm.
but with a really crucial set of conditions.
Yeah.
They need to be fueled by a definite purpose, unwavering persistence, and a burning desire.
And it's that burning desire, I think, that's really key here. It's not just, kind of a casual
Right.
wish or a hope. It's this deep, consuming desire
Yeah.
that really propels you forward.
Right.
And he illustrates this beautifully with the story of R.U. Darby and the gold mine.
Oh, the gold mine story.
For those listening, do you remember that story?
Yeah, Darby and his uncle, they caught gold fever like so many others.
And they actually struck a vein. They were initially successful,
Yeah.
but then the gold seemed to vanish. They got discouraged and ended up selling their equipment,
Oh, no.
only to find out later that the main vein, the mother lode,
The big one.
the big one, was just 3 feet beyond where they stopped digging.
3 feet.
3 feet, can you imagine?
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
I know, talk about being so close.
And the insight here, I think, goes beyond just don't give up easily, right? It's really about the psychology of setbacks, and our tendency to quit sometimes when we're actually closest to the goal.
Yeah.
And what's so fascinating is that years later, Darby applied this hard-learned lesson
Yeah.
in a completely different field.
Right.
Life insurance sales. And he achieved incredible success.
Yeah.
So it shows how a seemingly negative experience, if we internalize the right lessons,
Right.
can become a catalyst for future achievements.
It's so true. It really highlights how near success can sometimes feel like failure. And that's when perseverance is absolutely critical.
Absolutely. And Hill provides another compelling example,
Yep.
the story of the little colored girl
Oh, yeah.
who was so determined to get 50 cents from her uncle.
Yeah. What stands out to you about that anecdote?
It's the sheer force of her unwavering desire. I mean, her mother needed that money.
Yeah.
And despite her uncle's initial refusal and, he tried to send her away,
Right.
this little girl, she stood her ground.
Yeah.
Even when threatened, she remained absolutely resolute
Wow.
and finally declared with total conviction that her mother had to have that 50 cents.
She was not giving up.
No, and her uncle was so taken aback
Yeah.
by this intensity, this burning desire, that he gave in.
Oh.
It's such a powerful illustration that even seemingly powerless individuals
Right.
can overcome obstacles through the sheer intensity of their desire.
That's a powerful story.
It makes you think about times in your own life
Yeah.
when you felt that kind of unwavering determination, even for small things.
It's true.
Yeah.
It really underscores the difference between a mere wish and a genuine burning desire.
Right.
I mean, a wish is passive,
Yeah,
but a burning desire, it compels action.
it does.
It makes you move. And Hill connects this to how our minds operate,
Yeah.
almost like magnets, attracting circumstances that harmonize with our dominant thoughts.
Interesting.
So if we're constantly focusing on limitations,
Right.
we might inadvertently draw more of that into our lives.
Yeah.
Whereas if we intensely desire riches and create definite plans, we can set a different kind of magnetic force in motion.
It's like we're setting our internal compass.
Exactly. So desire is like the ignition switch.
Mhm.
But how do we keep that flame burning?
Right. How do we keep that momentum?
That leads us to the concepts of faith and autosuggestion.
Exactly. Hill states that the starting point of all achievement is desire. And faith is what helps solidify that desire into belief.
Okay.
And he introduces this fascinating concept called autosuggestion. It's basically the method by which we can consciously influence our subconscious mind.
Okay.
Think of it like deliberately feeding your mind with thoughts and ideas, through your senses.
So it's almost like self-talk, but with intention.
Exactly. Self-suggestion, mental imagery, but with a purpose.
So we're actively programming our minds with positive and empowering beliefs.
Precisely. And Hill lays out 6 practical steps to actually make this happen.
Okay.
For transforming desire into its financial equivalent.
All right, I'm ready. What's step 1?
Step 1. Be absolutely clear on the exact amount of money you desire.
Right.
Not just, I want to be rich, but an actual number.
Write it
down. Step 2. Determine precisely what you are willing to give in return for that money.
Okay.
It emphasizes the principle of reciprocal exchange. Nothing comes for free.
That makes sense. It's understanding that value is created and exchanged.
Exactly. Step 3. Establish a definite time frame for acquiring this money.
So a deadline.
A deadline. Gives you a target to aim for. Step 4. Develop a concrete plan to achieve your desire and begin taking action immediately.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if you feel fully prepared or not, just start moving.
Just start.
Yeah. Step 5. Write down a clear statement
Okay.
outlining the amount, the time limit, what you'll give in return, and your plan.
That seems pretty straightforward.
And step 6, this is where autosuggestion is crucial. Read this statement aloud.
Okay.
Twice daily, once before bed, once upon waking. And as you read, vividly imagine, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of that money.
Wow.
So you're immersing yourself in this vision.
It's like a mental rehearsal.
Exactly.
That act of consistent repetition of immersing your subconscious in this clear vision and belief is so crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. Repetition creates mental grooves. It strengthens those neural pathways associated with your desire and belief. You're training your subconscious mind to align with your conscious goals.
Right.
And this is where faith comes in. Hill argues that faith, that unwavering belief in attaining your desire, can be deliberately cultivated through this process of repeated self-affirmation.
Interesting.
He uses this rather strong analogy, suggesting that just like repeated exposure can lead someone down a criminal path.
Right.
Repeated affirmations of belief can build unshakable faith in your ability to succeed.
So just like negative thoughts can create negative patterns, consciously and repeatedly focusing on belief can build a powerful sense of certainty.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is Hill's idea that thoughts mixed with strong emotions, such as faith, create this powerful magnetic force. And he believed that these emotionally charged thoughts could attract similar thoughts from what he called the ether, a concept that was prevalent in the early 20th century, referring to a kind of universal medium. While modern science doesn't really use this term, the underlying idea of the power of focused intention and this potential interconnectedness of minds, it's pretty fascinating.
It is fascinating. So by combining desire with a strong emotional belief, you're amplifying its power to draw in the resources and opportunities that you need. Okay, so we've talked about desire, we've talked about faith. Now, Hill also emphasizes the importance of knowledge, specifically specialized knowledge.
And the mastermind.
And the concept of the mastermind. Yes, he makes a distinction between general knowledge, which he says has limited value in wealth accumulation, and specialized knowledge that's directly applicable to a particular field.
You got to have the right tools for the job.
Exactly. And he points out that even highly educated people, like in academia, might possess a vast amount of general knowledge, but they may not necessarily achieve great financial wealth through that knowledge alone.
It's not enough just to know a lot of things. It's about having the right kind of knowledge, organized strategically, and apply it effectively to a definite purpose.
Exactly. And this is where the mastermind concept comes in. Hill defines it as the synergistic alliance of 2 or more minds working in perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose.
It's about collaboration.
Shared
commitment.
It's about building a team, a network of individuals who can really support and contribute to your goals.
Exactly. And he stresses that you don't have to possess all the specialized knowledge yourself.
Right.
By collaborating with others who have complementary skills, you can tap into a collective intelligence that's far greater than your own.
It's like having access to a whole range of expertise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Hill emphasizes that a mastermind group can provide access to experience, education, and insights that you might not personally possess.
Right.
And he gives examples of, people like Thomas Edison, who had limited formal education,
Right.
and Henry Ford, who didn't finish high school, as examples of individuals who achieved phenomenal success by organizing and directing others who possess the specialized knowledge that they lacked.
So it's really about leadership.
Yeah.
Not just dictating, but orchestrating the talents of others.
Exactly.
It really highlights that leadership involves recognizing your own limitations and effectively leveraging the strengths of others.
Yeah.
So we have desire, we have faith, we have knowledge.
Right.
Perhaps a mastermind group.
Yeah.
What is the next critical element for turning those into reality?
That would be organized planning and decisive action.
Planning and action.
You got to have both.
Okay.
Hill emphasizes that you must translate your desire into concrete action through well-defined practical plans.
So it's not enough to just dream.
No, you got to have a roadmap.
You got to have a plan.
And this aligns with the 6th step toward riches we discussed earlier, remember?
Right. Writing it all down.
Exactly. And he also dives into the essential qualities of effective leadership. Because bringing these plans to fruition, it often requires leading yourself and potentially others.
Okay, so what are some of the key leadership traits that Hill identifies?
He lists several important qualities: unselfishness, courage, self-control, a strong sense of justice, definiteness of decision, definiteness of plans.
Having clear goals.
Yeah, the habit of going the extra mile.
No.
A pleasing personality, empathy, and understanding.
Being likable.
Mastery of detail.
Attention to detail.
A willingness to take full responsibility. And the spirit of cooperation.
It's a lot.
It is, but he makes a really interesting distinction between leadership based on consent, which tends to be more enduring, and leadership based on force, which ultimately is unsustainable.
Yeah, that makes sense. That idea of leadership by consent, it feels particularly relevant today.
Absolutely.
In these collaborative environments.
It's about inspiring and guiding, not just commanding.
Right. And closely linked to planning.
Yes.
Is the ability to make decisions.
Yes.
Promptly.
And stick to them. Hill contrasts this with the behavior of those who fail, who tend to procrastinate on decisions, change their minds frequently based on external opinions.
And waffling.
Yeah, they're easily swayed.
So they're not really leading.
And he, again, points to Henry Ford as someone known for his swift, decisive decision-making.
Decisive.
Yeah, not afraid to make a call.
It really underscores the importance of having conviction in your plans.
Yes.
And not being swayed by outside influences.
Trust your gut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, even with all these elements in place,
Yeah.
the desire, the faith, the knowledge, planning, decisive action, there's still a vital ingredient needed.
Oh, there's more.
There's one more.
Yeah.
To navigate the inevitable challenges, and that is persistence.
Persistence.
An unwavering refusal to give up.
Yeah, you're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to face setbacks.
You have to keep going.
And he asserts that persistence is absolutely essential. He says that old man failure eventually tires of those who refuse to be defeated.
You just wear them down.
You wear them down. And he outlines 4 straightforward steps to cultivate this crucial habit.
Give me those 4 steps, because they sound like practical things that we can all implement.
Absolutely. Step 1, a clear and definite purpose. Fueled by a burning desire. We see how these principles build upon each other.
They're all connected.
Step 2, a well-defined plan put into continuous action. Planning without execution is just wishful thinking.
You got to do it.
Step 3, a mind that is consciously shielded against all negative and discouraging influences.
So you have to protect your mind.
Protect your mind.
Including the often well-intentioned but potentially limiting opinions of others.
Sometimes people, even when they love us, can hold us back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And step 4, the formation of a supportive alliance.
With one or more individuals who will encourage you to persevere.
You need your cheerleaders.
Your cheer squad.
You need your people.
Find those people. And Hill mentions, briefly, people like Fannie Hurst.
Right.
and Wallace Simpson as examples of individuals who demonstrated remarkable persistence.
In the face of challenges.
In the face of challenges.
It's inspiring to see how people, even facing different obstacles, use that tenacity to get to where they need to be.
It's a common thread among successful people.
Okay, so now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the inner workings.
Yeah.
The subconscious mind and the brain.
All right, going deeper.
Going a little deeper, yeah.
So Hill describes the subconscious mind as this incredibly powerful chemical laboratory where our thought impulses are processed and prepared for manifestation in the physical world.
Right.
And a critical point he makes is that the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between positive and negative thoughts. It acts on whatever dominant thought are consistently fed into it.
Wow.
Especially those charged with emotion, like faith or fear.
So if we're constantly worried or doubtful, our subconscious might work to bring that about.
It can.
Just as readily as it would our positive aspirations.
Exactly, which is why it's so important to be mindful of the thoughts we dwell on.
It's about conscious thought control.
Yes.
And focusing on what we want.
Intentionally directing our mental energy.
Exactly. Now, Hill also views the brain as a broadcasting and receiving station for thought.
Okay.
And he theorized that high-frequency thought vibrations, particularly those infused with strong emotions, can be transmitted between brains through the ether.
Again, this ether concept, while it's a more philosophical concept,
Yeah.
it touches on the potential power of collective thought.
Right.
And the influence our mental states can have, not just on ourselves, but potentially on others.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then Hill introduces the concept of the sixth sense.
Yes, the sixth sense.
He considers this the pinnacle of his philosophy. The faculty through which we can voluntarily communicate with what he calls infinite intelligence.
So tapping into something larger than ourselves.
Something larger, yeah.
That universal intelligence.
And he suggests that it's a part of our subconscious mind, and likely the link between our finite human minds and this greater universal intelligence.
It's a profound idea.
It is. But he also emphasizes that mastering the other 12 principles that he outlines in the book is really a prerequisite.
It's like building a foundation.
Building a foundation.
Before you can access this higher level.
It sounds like the reward for diligently applying all the other principles.
It does, yeah. It seems like the culmination of a deep mastery of our own mental and emotional landscape.
Now, he also briefly addresses the 6 ghosts of fear.
Right?
He recognizes that overcoming fear is vital for successfully implementing his philosophy.
Absolutely. Fear can be crippling.
It can be. And he identifies 6 basic fears.
Okay.
To hold people back.
Let's hear them.
Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, and fear of death.
The big ones.
The big ones, yeah. And he notes that the fear of poverty is often the most pervasive and debilitating.
It's interesting that he highlights that one.
It is interesting.
As being especially destructive.
Absolutely. Fear can be a major roadblock to our success.
It can prevent us from taking risks and pursuing our goals.
Exactly. And finally, Hill talks about the devil's workshop, which is the state of indecision.
Ah, indecision, the enemy of action.
It is. He identifies indecision as a primary cause of failure. A state where negative thoughts and doubts can take root and grow.
It's like a breeding ground for negativity.
It is. And he links this to a lack of self-mastery.
Right.
And a susceptibility to negative external influences.
So we're not in control of our own minds.
Right. And we're letting outside forces dictate our actions.
It's a recipe for disaster.
So the inability to make firm decisions and take timely action can significantly hinder our progress.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your thoughts, your actions, and not getting stuck in this perpetual state of uncertainty.
Well, this has been a truly comprehensive deep dive.
It has.
Into some of the most fundamental principles of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
A classic for a reason.
A classic. And we've explored the role of a burning desire.
Right.
The power of faith and autosuggestion in shaping our subconscious minds. The necessity of specialized knowledge. And the power of a mastermind alliance.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. The importance of organized planning and decisive action.
Right.
The indispensable quality of persistence.
Never give up.
Never give up. And we've even touched on some of the more fascinating concepts like the subconscious mind, the brain, the potential of the sixth sense.
It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And, of course, the obstacles that we all face,
Right.
like fear and indecision.
The things that hold us back.
Exactly. So you, our listener, now have a condensed overview of some of the core ideas within Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
A valuable shortcut to understanding the central message.
Without having to wade through the entire book.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay.
Which of these principles resonates most powerfully with you right now? And what's one small, intentional step you can take today?
Yeah.
To start applying it in your own pursuit of your aspirations?
That's a great question to reflect on.
It is.
It's about taking these timeless principles and actually putting them into practice.
Exactly. So thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
For this deep dive. We hope you found it valuable and insightful.
Absolutely.
And until our next deep dive, take care.
See you then.